A leaked FSB spy document from Russia claims Putin planned to invade Japan over island dispute. We know that Japan is just south of the Kamchatka Peninsula off Russia. An email addressed to Vladimir Oshekin leaked FSB spy documents that claim that Putin planned to invade Japan over the island dispute. Months before President Vladimir Putin began the full-scale Operation Invasion of Ukraine, Russia was prepared to invade Japan in the summer of 2021, according to an email including a letter from a whistleblower at the Federal Security Service FSB of Russia that was shared with Newsweek. The email, dated March 17, was addressed to Vladimir Oshekin, a Russian human rights campaigner and founder of the anti-corruption website Gulagu.net, who is currently living in exile in France. The FSB operative sends dispatches to Oshekin on a regular basis, exposing the wrath and unhappiness within the agency over the conflict that started on February 24 when Putin invaded the neighboring Ukraine. The correspondence has been translated from Russian to English by Igor Shushko, the executive director of the nonprofit Wind of Change Research Group, since it started on March the 4th. Experts on the FSB, Christo Grozvev, has studied the letter written by the whistleblower and published by Oshekin. He claimed to have shown the letter to two actual current or former FSB contacts who were certain that a colleague had written it. And the picture shows Russian President Putin superimposed onto an image of Japan. Russia was preparing to attack Japan August 2021, according to the leaked emails from the whistleblower at Russia's Federal Security Service, the FSB. Military conflict. The agent wrote to Oshekin in March that Russia was quite seriously preparing for a localized military conflict with Japan in August 2021. Instead, the FSB agent argued Russia decided to invade Ukraine months later. Confidence that the countries would enter the stage of acute confrontation and even war was high. Why Ukraine was chosen for war in the end, the scenario was not changed much, is for others to answer, they wrote. The Russian propaganda machine was also launched with a major campaign to paint Japanese as Nazis and fascists, as the whistleblower described movements of electronic warfare, helicopters targeting Japan. The Kuril Islands. Russia and Japan have never formally ended World War II through the signing of a peace treaty, in large part due to disagreements over a set of islands claimed by Japan, but occupied by Russia. At the close of World War II, the USSR occupied the Kuril Island chains, Kudashiri, Etorofu, Shikutan, and Habolmai Islands. The dispute has strained ties between Russia and Japan for decades. Tokyo claims the islands as its northern territories. The Kuril Islands are the key stumbling block between Moscow and Tokyo, said the FSB operative. The islands provide a lot of military and political advantage due to their position between the large Japanese island of Hokkaido and Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. For Japan, there is a cornerstone of its modern geopolitics here. Its status as a World War II loser still prevents the Japanese from having an official military force, a foreign intelligence service, and a number of other things. For the land of the rising sun, Japan, the return of the Kuril Islands would actually mean a revision or even cancellation of its post-war status, they wrote. The whistleblower proceeded by saying that the islands serve as a bargaining chip for Moscow. The Heavenly Kingdom, China, takes any attempted revisions to the post-war agreement very negatively, and a potential victory for Tokyo in the dispute over the Kurils is unacceptable to China. It's also unacceptable that China would easily complicate Russia's life for making such a gift. The whistleblower pointed out that former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe had already been emphasizing modernizing the nation's intelligence service and trying to negotiate with Russia over the Kuril Islands at the time. Historically, Japan's military intelligence has always been at a high level, but after the defeat in World War II, it was simply abolished at the behest of the victors, they wrote. The FSB declassified graphic information in August 2021 detailed how Japanese special services tortured Soviet citizens during World War II, and according to FSB leaker, the agency was tasked with starting an information campaign with Japan in Russian society. It happened abruptly, suddenly, and almost unexpectedly, they wrote. Data from Otozu Yamada's interrogation as a general in the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II was among the declassified information. Initially, as early as August 8, the Russian mass media were rather stingy in their comments on the news. They claimed that Japan had been preparing for war with the USSR since 1938. Plans of the attack were being hatched, diversions were made, etc., the whistleblower wrote. But on August 16, the Russian media literally exploded at the same time, discussing the declassified documents in a completely different tone. The Japanese allegedly conducted terrible biological experiments on Soviet prisoners and treated Soviet prisoners extremely bad. The details of the plague lice that were used to torture prisoners were scrawled all over the place. And today, Russia, the main mouthpiece of international propaganda, also joined in. Multiple links from pro-Kremlin media outlets on the subject were included in the whistleblower's email, including one headline, "How the USSR Saved the World from the Biological War that Japan Was Preparing," and another titled, "Evidence of Japan's Preparations for War with the USSR Declassified." According to a report from RBC released on August 20th, 2021, and citing declassified FSB documents, experiments on prisoners took place at a concentration camp in the Harbin area, and the Japanese used these prisoners to test bacteriological material, and new chemical poison substances during World War II. The FSB also revealed previously classified material August 2021, claiming it demonstrated Japan's intent to launch a biological weapon in 1944. The FSB had even declassified in a timely manner at the right time when this push was beginning. It was classified this entire time, and then Russia declassified it right when all of this buildup was happening against Japan and preparing the Russian population to start believing the Japanese are fascists, said Shushko. They sort of swapped out Japan for Ukraine, he added. And both of them right there just insane. They're just insane. They just take the things that Russia was considering before attacking Japan. It's insane, as is the fact that Russia attacked Ukraine is insanity. It's insanity. The whistleblower claimed that in the summer of 2021, there was active spin in the Russian information space against Japan. The bet was placed on the fact that the Japanese specialized in brutal biological experiments, showed inhumanity and had a disposition for Nazism, and they should have demilitarized after the war, but they violate these regulations, creating risks for Russia, they wrote. But on the whole, war was inevitable for Russia due to the maniacal desire for war by the leadership, and now the bulk of the combat-ready units from that direction have been redeployed to Ukraine, the whistleblower said. Now this is from Great Game India. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.